moment you're starting to even shift, I want the love, I want the patience. This is already a mindset, because the patience and love, the third guna, because the moment you're saying, I want patience, I want love, you're starting to already make a relationship with higher power priority. But we're going to get there. Like I said, the most important is to make a priority. Number one is your relationship to a higher power. People in a state of passion, they want to use each other, because relationships are transactional. Oh, I have this friend, we go on vacations together. Or I have this friend because our kids play together. Or I have this friend because she can hook me up with a single guy. Or I have this friend because she's single, we're gonna go to night clubs together or to the bar. And so it's like a business-like friendships and relationships. Now, for women who are single, what happens is when they're in a state of passion, they're not having the full trust with Creator, and they want artificially to get a man. And when they want artificially get a man, what happens is she puts more makeup, she puts more provocative clothes, she shows more of her body, then there's more fabric on her body. And what she does, what kind of men do you think she attracts?
Ignorant.
They're more in a state of passion, because men who are in a state of ignorance, they're connected to either criminal activity, or they're drunk or drug addicts. So mostly it's going to be the same guna that she is in. She will attract a guy who will use her sexually. You show me the sexy body, of course I like you, I want you, but then he will use her. Do you get it? Because she is lacking the trust and patience. She wants to use the sexual energy. She is showing off her body. And therefore, she's putting half-naked pictures here and half-naked pictures there. She talks and texts sexy. And with sexy, she gets a guy in a state of passion. And in a state of passion, men do not commit. They just use women. So the shortcut is not working. It's not going to bring the results. And it's an illusion that she's going to quickly get a guy. Yes, she quickly gets, but she gets the wrong guy. When she makes a relationship to higher power a priority, what happens is she says, okay, to herself, compassion, love, kindness, and being of service is more important than these material goals or attachment. Attachment to get married, attachment to get a job, attachment to get a house or build a house, whatever that her goals is. She's saying it's not as important. She's letting go, detaching. It's the hardest thing to do, because here I am 2 years ago, running my private practice, working only 4 hours a week, and then I'm realizing this money is hurting me. It's an illusion that I'm happy having this high income, but I'm mostly spending time in chiropractors, massage therapists, and have my own therapist. And I'm trying to meditate, but meditation is not going so well. Because this 4 hours is breaking me, because I'm attached to I have this really successful client. State of passion. Clear? And each one of us have this something that we're holding on. And until we let go, we're stuck in prison.
Is it possible to have motherhood in that passion? Does that make sense?
Yes. And for example, mothers in a state of passion, I see a lot of women, mothers who are like, okay, let me take my son or daughter to soccer, gymnastic, and music, and this language, and she works, and she runs and runs, over hyper-protective, overdoing it, instead of letting go and trusting. So 2 months I'm doing homeschooling, and then on the 8th week, our son is telling, you know what, Mom? I like homeschooling, but I'm actually bored. Mom, you know what? Find me a school, just a really good school. Say, honey, I've been looking for schools for the past 2 years. You know, it's not so easy. He's like, no, you wanted to find school for me. I am now ready. So look for a good school. So I'm calling two of my girlfriends. One, by the way, is in New Jersey, Gabriela. And she starts sharing with me about the school that they tried this year, Acton School, where kids don't have teachers, they don't have desks, they don't have chairs, they're free-willed. It's like Montessori times 100 better. And kids running their own projects, and they're helpers, not even teachers, who are helping them, little bit guiding them. There's no grades. And so we're going there, and our son falls in love with the school. And he said, you know what, Mom? Homeschool was great, but I want to go to the school. And so for the past 2 weeks, he's been going to the school, and now we're registered for next year. It's like being open and being in tune with our children, what's best for them, and not being attached that it has to be this way. I was certain I'm going to be a homeschooling, right? But they have their own journey. And what mothers do in a state of passion, they have the certain vision that my father was a surgeon and doctor, our kids has to be doctors. Or I see that my daughter likes pink, so I'm gonna get her only pink and ballet, not realizing that next year she doesn't like ballet anymore. She likes music, and she likes putting Legos together, hypothetically, right? And so in the state of goodness, which we're gonna talk about shortly, a mother trusts Creator, God, and she is in tune and looks at the child, what's better for the child, not her through analytics and thinking process, but really in tune and listening to the Creator. What's good for a child? Because they're not ours. They came as a teachers to teach us. And we constantly need to adjust to their progress and not being attached. Because sometimes women get 8 weeks of gymnastics, but 3 weeks later, a child says, Mom, I don't like it. It's boring. And we have to cancel the membership. But mothers will say, well, we paid for 8 weeks. You have to go for 8 weeks. And that is the state of passion. They get it. And so when the person really starts to grow spiritually and connects to Creator and says, you are to me number one, everything starts to shift. Absolutely everything. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you view yourself, your children, your parents, your partner, because you no longer have attachment that it has to be only this way. You're flexible, you're malleable, and woman changes all the time. So as children, we're like river, constantly going right and left. Men are very solid, but we're very malleable. And so we are trusting the Creator to guide us and navigate us. A few days ago, one of you ladies asked me a question. I'm dating a guy, so should I stay with him or give him a chance to meet my kids and get to know him, or because he's actually not texting and calling me, I'm not sure if he's the one. And when we have a relationship to a Creator, we don't need to rely on me or anyone, because during the meditation or prayer, you get the answers. And the actions speak louder. I said, well, he didn't text you for 3 months. You didn't see him for 3 months. He didn't call you. Do you really think he's the one? Because the actions speak louder, but we don't even need to rely on each other because we get the answers. They're all here. And it is so powerful to have this kind of a trusting relationship to one and only person who always have your interest. Always. And what happens when you again make a Creator as your priority, which is the guna of Sattva, Sattva, which is goodness, what happens? Number one, you forget about yourself, which is a very powerful space, Because in a state of, we constantly want happiness. And the reason why we're upset is because we're attached to our partners to be this way or that way, to buy us gifts, to give us a ring, to get married, or we're attached to material things, and therefore we're constantly disappointed and frustrated. The day didn't go this way, you're upset. The husband or boyfriend did something, you're upset because there's constant attachment, and you are trying to make other person make you happy. So the moment you make creator as a priority, you forget about yourself. This is what happens, number one. Number two, what happens? And by the way, when you forget about yourself, your happiness starts to fulfill your heart. And when you start to feel happy, life becomes easier. That's the number one. Life becomes easier because there's no more attachments and expectations that somebody or something will make you happier or easier or whatever that there's attachment for. Then what happens, number two, is that as the life gets easier, all of a sudden you see that people who were negative, who were toxic, who were frustrated or in a state of also passion, they start to fall off. And you start to gravitate towards people who also made a priority the relationship with higher power, who are living in Sattva. And I'll be honest with you, in my feminine spiritual masterclass with Russian ladies, there's two ladies that I would never become friends with because our energies don't really sync. But because they are moving towards Sattva, towards goodness, we are connected and we spend time and we're getting to know each other. You made a relationship with a higher power, and your commitment, instead of expecting something from other people, you're in a state of service. You're serving. You're serving your husband, you're serving your kids, you're serving your girlfriends, you're serving community, you're serving environment, you're serving children, dogs, cats, environment, women. You find a way to serve. And when you're in a state of service, guess what? Higher power himself looks at you and says, this is a good woman. And when you're a good woman, you deserve to have a good husband or a good boyfriend or a good part-time job or to have children because you couldn't get pregnant before. Everything starts to sink. But in a state of passion, you artificially trying to get successful or get your career going or get a boyfriend or get a man marry you. It's all through force and power to get it fast. That's why it never works. Because the biggest result in a state of passion, it's gonna be disappointment in the end. Because even if you found the best good-looking boyfriend, and sooner or later, you're gonna start bumping with him. Because you made him a priority. Your goal is a priority.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Edith?
I have been thinking to myself and saying, I need to find a way to be of service to the community more. I want to give the community. I've been putting myself in that state and thinking what to do.
Thinking is passion.
Mhm.
In goodness, you don't think, you act. You see, there's homeless people, you go, you feed them. You see homeless cats and dogs, you go and find them homes. You see women who are struggling, you go, you help them. You are in action. There's no more thinking. Thinking is all the state of passion. Thinking, analyzing, what can I do, and etc. Once again, you made the higher power priority. The third, what starts to happen, your destiny starts to change. And for those who remember the master class about the destiny, here's our soul right here in our chest. Around our soul is destiny. And destiny could kick in at any moment. And when you go through hardship in life, that means destiny is trying to push you to show something is not working. And people at this point is start to blame husband is bad, job is bad, kids are difficult. They're playing a victim instead of, again, working through do spiritual practices. And in the doing spiritual practices, the destiny starts to melt. And you become in charge, and not destiny, who is trying to push you or break you. Because destiny is connected to our karma from previous lives.
No, but that is really powerful. I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
Now I am a stay-at-home mom, and I love it, but sometimes I miss going back to work.
See, when destiny kicks in, you become immediately a victim and catch yourself in a negative thought process that this is not good, that is not good, kids driving me crazy, husband, everything starts to feel kind of negative, right? And so the moment we make a higher power priority, and first, by the way, people maybe sometimes take whole year to listen to lectures and they absorb the energy, and after a year or 6 months, they start to take action. And to overcome the destiny, it goes through 3 stages. In the first stage, you feel like life is hard and you feel just a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but it's so far, and you feel heavy in your soul. You feel heavy in your body, and everything is difficult. But because you made the higher power priority, you feel the little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. This is what happens during the first stage. In the second stage, a person starts to feel that life is not as hard, and you start to view kids and husband and circumstances that this is not the end of the world. It's just temporary. And you start to see that you're halfway through the tunnel, and you start to see that your environment starts to change. You start to gravitate towards people who are also in a state of goodness, who made the higher power a priority. You start now to do meditation or a prayer on a daily basis. Maybe not 30 minutes or 45 minutes, but at least 5 to 10 minutes a day. You start to spend more time in the nature. You start feeling who is bad for you and who is good for you. And you're starting to detach more and more from the people who are not in the same realm. On the third stage, you just fully surrender to higher power and you fully trust him with your life. You see that you have a bad day, hypothetically, and you say, oh, God, you wanted to teach me something today. I got a sore throat because I chose a wrong topic, hypothetically, for a program. Or you gave me the backache because you wanted me to spend more time with children at home. Or, for example, you got this boy out of your life because he was not the right one, who is not interested to commit to me. And so you're starting to trust with good and the bad that there is a higher meaning to it that comes from above. And in that stage, on the third stage, you have just certainty, confidence, and happiness, even though sometimes you have a bad days as well. That all of it is a higher power's plan. And in that stage also, whatever that you wanted, to find the right person, he starts to show up. You wanted to get a part-time job, you're starting to get a part-time job. You wanted to be a house mom, you became a house mom, and your man is starting to work and make more income. Everything starts to shift, even though sometimes you'll still have just part of life, bad days, and you're not going to be a victim of it. You're just going to surrender and view at it, it's a lesson. I need to do this or I need to do that. And to overcome destiny, if you do meditation and prayer, average takes between 6 months to a year. But if you do the daily practices, and I know some of you are Christian. If you're Christian, again, you do the prayer. Some of you are Muslim. If you're Muslim, you do the prayer. And otherwise, you do the meditation that is advanced, Baba Nam Kevalam. But in your soul, you know which meditation or affirmation, mantra, or a prayer you gotta do.